streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
Oh, there's my mic. I've been talking and my mic was not on this whole time. Awesome. Hi. How are you? Welcome. Good to be back. So we're back after the in-season tournament from the NBA, and honestly, I'm still not sure about this in-season tournament. To be completely honest with you, to be completely blunt with you, I wasn't a fan of it when it started. When it was announced, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell it was, what it is, how does it work. The game started. The game seemed very exciting. The games seemed very intense. Guys were playing for something important in like November, December, which you never really see. November, December is kind of those feel out months and teams trying to figure out who they are and what the situation is. So those early few weeks, those early few months of the NBA season doesn't really mean much. And it became a topic of conversation about whether the NBA season should be shortened down to 78 games, down to 75 games, down to 70 games, since those early games really didn't have that feel of like these games mean something. These games mean there's something to these games. Even Christmas, having the season start on Christmas, which I would have no problem with. I think starting the season to Christmas, but that's not the point. What started to happen during the in-season tournament was I started getting into it, right? And I think they kind of got me hook, line, and sinker. They figured out here's how you get Kahlil Thomas: have competitive games, have some conversation starting basketball court designs, and then have a chaotic last night of the tournament where teams were playing their starters late in the fourth quarter when they're already up by 20 because the tiebreaker in the actual tournament was point differential. So you had the Boston Celtics playing their starters when they're already up 20 over Chicago. And then you had the Nets kind of scoreboard watching to see what the Celtics did, to see what they're going to do in their game against Toronto. And Toronto's already out. So Toronto's like, the hell with this. And then you have the Knicks playing the Charlotte Hornets, and they're looking at the scoreboard, and they're calculating, assistant coach on the bench, like, okay, we need this many points. Like, coach, just keep Julius out there a little bit longer. The last night made the tournament. Now, am I still a fan of the in-season tournament? Absolutely not. By no means am I like a proponent of, hey, let's bring that back. Let's run that back. Do there need to be changes? Yes. We'll talk about that a little bit when Jason gets on. The idea, I think, hit. I think you saw the excitement in Vegas for the semis and the finals and the Lakers winning the first ever in-season tournament. LeBron getting his quote-unquote fifth title. But I think that things do need to be done when it comes to the in-season tournament. Things need to be done. I think the court designs, and listen, Adam Silver is big on the court design. Adam Silver thinks the court designs can stretch out to the finals. And we can have these specialized courts for every situation of the NBA season. I'm not a fan of that completely either, but that's the point. But Lakers defeat the Pacers, and I will say this for the tournament. I think you saw the growth of the Indiana Pacers in this tournament. I think Tyrese Halliburton, who the Knicks should have drafted, you saw the coming out party for Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton became a guy that on the national stage, because unless you have NBA League Pass and you go out and make a concerted effort to watch the Indiana Pacers play, you are not going to watch Tyrese Halliburton play unless he's in an All-Star game or a Futures game, an All-Star weekend, or if he's on Team USA. You're not going to watch Tyrese Halliburton play a lot of ball unless you literally go out of your way to go watch the Indiana Pacers play basketball. What this showed was that Halliburton is a quality point guard, double-double machine, almost triple-double machine. And what makes it even better, and he's a natural point guard who can score and pass, right? He's a better Russell Westbrook. I'm gonna put it out there, right? Scores when he needs to score, passes when he needs to pass, does not turn the ball over. That's what makes him a better Russell Westbrook. He does not turn the ball over. Russell Wilson turns the ball over all the time in Denver, but we're talking about Russell Westbrook. Westbrook turns the ball over constantly because he's trying to get his own shot and he's trying to do whatever. Tyrese Halliburton does not turn the ball over at all. As I bring in Jason Cordner from Brooklyn, New York. Jay, what's going on, man?
Not much. What's going on?
Not much. I'm talking about the coming out party for Tyrese Halliburton during the in-season tournament. But before we get there,
I mean the point guard that we won on draft night.
I said the same thing. I was like, who the Knicks should have had. What were your thoughts on the in-season tournament and how it ended and the whole thing?
I thought it was a success. I thought it was good. I like how young teams like Indiana really went after it from game one. They didn't let up. A lot of other teams like Orlando played hard. Minnesota kind of played hard before they fizzled out. I thought it was supposed to be a showcase for like the younger team. I didn't think a veteran team like the Lakers would care so much about it. But then I forgot LeBron is the egomaniac. He wanted the first whatever. He wanted this to be the fifth chip. I mean, if you cash in this chip and a bubble chip, does that equivalent to 2 NBA titles? That's a whole nother story for another day. But I thought it was pretty well done. I didn't really take it too seriously until we got to I want to say the knockout round, because I was surprised that the Knicks had a bigger point differential than say Orlando, than a Cleveland, some other teams that finished 3-1. So that kind of got a little interesting. But in terms of how everything played out in Vegas, I thought it was well handled. I was really shocked that Boston didn't take it as seriously as I thought they would. I thought Boston would have came out the east side of this.
Yeah, I think
we got to talk about Milwaukee though, because I think this is Milwaukee is still Milwaukee regardless of everything. Even with Dame, they still don't play enough defense. They'll beat the Knicks because the Knicks are a small team, unlike the Pacers, who are small but they got shooters everywhere.
Well, we said it when it started, and I think I said this to other people too. I think this tournament was made for younger teams that wanted to make an impact and show the league that, okay, we're legit. This is who we are, blah, blah, blah. The Lakers surprised me how hard they went at it. He said LeBron went hard because this was essentially, and I think he said it after the Pelicans game, this is his first Final Four. He never experienced an NCAA Final Four.
Well said. Well played. Yep.
So this was his first ever career Final Four. And he's like, I'm going to play hard because this is
but not to be fair, not to sidetrack that he had a very weak draw. Like his group was very, very weak at best.
Yeah. Let's go back and look at the groups for a second because I'm curious about that. So his group was Phoenix, which Phoenix is up and down. We don't know what Phoenix is.
They're trying to figure themselves out. Yep.
Utah.
There you go.
Portland.
There you go.
Memphis.
There you go. That was a cakewalk 3. I mean, maybe Phoenix will give you a little pushback.
You're right.
Easy 3 wins.
You're right. I agree with you. I think he had a way easier path than most. So Vertex Plays, what's going on? Thank you for watching here on YouTube. Appreciate it. I will say this about LeBron, and I will hit when he won the MVP on Saturday. He talked about the young guys. He talked about
he shouldn't even have won that. That should have been Anthony Davis. Wait, the
LeBron hate is strong for me today. What happened? What happened?
I would have been in a great mood. I had the Pacers won this whole thing. I was like, this is great for the league. Most of those guys are not, making top dollar yet, but what's LeBron doing with his winnings? Is he donating to charity? Is he giving it to Bronny for having a great
he
block
won
in the
it.
first?
He won it for the first and second year guys who never experienced the playoffs atmosphere, and for the low paid NBA player minimum, which is like $2.2 million. He won it for those guys.
I would say, before I digress with the LeBron hate, I will say Cam Reddish did have a mini breakout party in this in-season tournament. He looked good in the final game against the Pacers, the way he defended, and he had a crucial three when Indiana would not go away. That kind of like sealed the game before the Lakers finished them off in the late fourth quarter.
Yeah, I tweeted out or X'd out or whatever the hell you call it now. How Cam Reddish is playing the way he should have played in New York if Tom Thibodeau let him play.
Pretty accurate.
Because the Cam Reddish we're seeing in LA is a Cam Reddish we should have saw in New York. Tibbs is big on defense. Tibbs is big on, you don't have to shoot all the time, but when you get the ball, that 3-and-D thing, right? Obviously, Cam Reddish, the three kind of went away, but his defense never went away. He was the type of person that a Josh Hart would have been, right?
Yep.
And that's what happened. I think he got in Tibbs' doghouse, and Tibbs is like, I'm done with you, and this is where it is. And unfortunately, you're seeing the result of just letting a guy go, especially we'll talk about the Knicks later, when you're dying for bodies right now on the Knicks squad right now. You're dying for a body like a Cam Reddish on that team. Bruce, what's going on? Yeah, we're back. Centuries later. We'll explain what happened later. But I know you had the Lakers has your possible championship team. Even with this tournament win, which they're putting a banner up at Crypto Arena.
To be fair, the Liberty have a banner for the Governor's Cup.
Okay.
To be fair,
you saying that, I will take that, and I will roll with it. I still don't see this team like competing for a championship. I still think there's something kind of still off with this team. You're waiting for that major AD injury that's going to put him out for like a month and a half. LeBron is LeBron played hard this tournament.
Way too hard for year 22 in December.
Yeah, for essentially a you could compare this to one of those college basketball tournaments at Thanksgiving weekend, like the battle for Atlantis in Bahamas. That's exactly what it was.
The Maui Classic.
It's the Maui Invitational. That's what you played in. You played hard in Maui, but I think the big winner of the whole thing, I think, is the Pacers. I think the Pacers showed the league that, you know what, we're young, we're hungry. You have Rick Carlisle, who's an experienced coach with this really young team and this really young, hungry team that he can kind of mold into, a better Dallas Maverick team that won a championship with Dirk. Because you got Halliburton, you got Toppin, TJ McConnell in the championship game was all over the place. You still have Turner, who I swore they tried to trade Miles Turner 18 times and didn't sign to an extension. Buddy Hield is still there, who I think deep down is a major trade piece for them. Now,
absolutely. I was thinking the same thing.
That I think they just kind of holding on to and waiting for the right time to kind of deploy him out. I think you have a team, and if Benedict Mathurin ever gets his act together back to what he was last year, you have another piece. I think Indiana really showed the league that, you know what, we're not just a league pass team that you bump into on a Tuesday night. We have nothing better to do. Like, search us out and watch us play ball.
Yeah, and it's one of the things too. Like, especially, I want to say before the qualifier game, or when they beat Milwaukee, and maybe that game, that they were into it out there. They love the exposure being on TNT, because if you look at the Eastern Conference, they're not going to get a lot of, national televised games anyway. So it was a good opportunity. I really thought Minnesota was going to be the team that won this whole thing when it started. I was shocked how they fizzled out.
Lakers are the New York Liberty. Well, you said it. They did win the in-season tournament, so shout out to Liberty. ESPN put an article out as well about what's next, and I think this is an interesting conversation about what changes could be made to the tournament going forward. They talked about increasing the reward money, which I think
they have to
has to be done. Like $500,000 for the winning team is not.
It should be at least. Well, first of all, I think next year is probably. I think this is an audition for a media rights. I think someone outside of ESPN and TNT is going to get this. Like Amazon, Netflix, whoever might want to bid for it. I think at that point, if that happens, you should definitely increase it to like maybe $2 million to the winning team each.
And then the other thing was, what else do they get? Obviously, they get the trophy, they get the medals, like it's the Champions League in soccer. But what else? Does playoff seeding get affected? Does a certain team might get an automatic play-in bid? You get the number 7 automatically, and listen, you win out, you get in the real playoffs. Is there something that can be done to kind of make it? I don't want to say more appealing to play hard, but is there something else that can be done besides the prize money, obviously, to make this better?
I think it's just a prize money because it happened so early in the season. I don't want to reward a team in December for the playoffs, which don't start till April. So, like, I would say if you're going to do it that way, do it for tiebreaker purposes. If you finish in between that 7, 8, 9, 10, you automatically get to not say qualify, but you defend your spot. Like if you finish 10th, or I won't say 10th, maybe like 9th, then you would just have to play 1 game instead of 2. That's the only way I see it being fair.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned like the winning team is thrown into the draft lottery at the low end.
You can't do that either. You can't do that either. I think it's gotta be tiebreaker purposes, things like that.
Yeah, that was something else mentioned. Like if you tie with a team, you automatically get the tiebreaker because you won. Bruce made a good point, and obviously I didn't see it, but I think I saw a piece of it on X, Twitter. Shannon Sharp is already campaigning for the in-season tournament MVP to have the LeBron James name.
Not for nothing. I mean, everything else is taken. This will probably happen down the line.
Well, Bruce also thinks that the tournament's going to be scrapped in 5 years.
I don't think scrapped. I think more so moved up to like All-Star weekend-ish. Like that week, like they have that week off for All-Star.
Yeah.
I can see it being pushed to then instead of this summer. Like this is all about NFL. We've always said this. They've been scared, shook of the NFL. But I don't think it's be scrapped in 5 years. I think this was most part a successful trial run. It'll only get better from here.
Adam Silver also mentioned how he want the court designs, the idea of court designs to kind of become a thing where you might use them in the playoffs. Different court designs, not the ones from here. Mm-hmm. In the playoffs, in the finals.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That was my question.
He's getting a little too carried away now.
Listen, the NBA is all about it. My biggest issue, and I think I actually forgot the Indiana-Milwaukee game was on when it was on. Mm-hmm. Because it started at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Started early, yeah.
So that's 3 o'clock in Vegas.
On a Thursday.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait, what? So I'm watching like the Michael K show here in New York, New Jersey. And they're like, yeah, the game's on. I'm like, oh, the game is on. I'll turn it on. I'm like, and it seemed like everybody was just kind of filing in. I'm like, oh, Milwaukee, Indiana's on. Cool. And then it got exciting when LeBron came on later. And they just smoked Zion and the Pelicans, which we'll get to in a second too. I don't know. I think in Vegas, you have a 3-hour window. I'm like, you can't just do a regular 7:30, 10:30 because no offense to the West Coast, but no one cares about the West Coast. Like 7:30 East Coast, 6:30 and Central, 5:30 Mountain, whatever. 7:30, 10. Don't do 6 and like 9:30 or whatever the hell. It just made no sense. It's way too early.
It was way too early. Like you said, it was a Thursday. This is not like Black Friday where you could throw this on like a Black Friday or during the weekend and get away with it. It was a regular Thursday in December. Mm-hmm. I was surprised that they shared the arena. I thought like maybe have one game at where the well, they couldn't have it at UNLV for the circumstances that happened that day, but they could have easily used the Aces court over by at
MGM, right?
Not MGM,
Mandalay Bay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have a big enough space. You could do it. Like this place is to play out there. You can even play. You could have played in like where I think the Mountain West or one of those conferences play. Yeah.
And
in
even MGM too.
Orleans.
Like you had the
Yeah.
MGM too as well. So you're right.
Yeah, play it small. Championship, have it at
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile,
Yeah.
and that would have been the best way to do it. I do need to talk about the Pelicans because they got smoked by the Lakers in semifinals. You listen to enough podcasts, you watch enough talking heads on TV about basketball, and you come to the realization that Zion Williamson is fat. Apparently, he's just a slob. Do you agree with said opinion from pretty much everybody that Zion Williamson just looks done?
I don't think I don't want to buy into the opinions of all the talking heads because they was pretty. Yeah, if I was Zion, I might have wanted to like really fetch kill myself this weekend. But I don't think it's that. I think it's more so he's young, he's still athletic. Yeah, he likes to eat. He's in New Orleans for Christ's sake. We said this. We said the league messed up, not doing the right thing. Sending
We did.
But this is what they wanted. They wanted to like, hey, keep it by the book. They sent him to New Orleans. They can't control him. He clearly can't control his appetite. But it's one of those things where like I don't know. I don't know if they're not going to move off of him because he's too valuable. But he's still effective, even if he's a little chubby. He's still effective.
Zion slobbering food and adult stars, according to Bruce in New Orleans.
Hey. Do what you got to do, young fella.
Let's keep it PG here. No, I mean, listen. I think someone made a point. Maybe all this criticism is a good thing for him. Maybe he needs to hear this. Maybe he needs to see this, and people just kind of shit on him and just go, "You need to get your act together." Like they maxed you out with the intention that you get your shit together, and that everybody's seeing how bad you are, how bad you're playing, how bad you look.
That's the right thing. It's how he look.
It's how you look, and not just like overweight or whatever. It's like his body language sucks. I know Bill Simmons say, "I was sitting courtside." He say he just seemed like he just didn't want to be there. Like he just seemed like he's like cool. Like we're here in Vegas and we're playing the Lakers, and like no one else is playing but us, and people are watching us, and we should give a shit. But I just don't give a shit. So whatever. I'm here. It just seems like he's just trying and trying and trying, and this might be his way out. This might be his cry for help to get out of New Orleans. And
so it goes back to it again. Are we trading a in shape Randall for a fat Zion?
No. I would rather out of shape Oliver Miller at this point than out of shape Zion Williamson, because it's you're just. The more weight he puts on, and New York's no better, he'll probably hit up the hot dog trucks outside the Garden.
You're right.
Before he comes in. I don't know. He got a couple dirty water dogs before he walks in the Garden and eat those in the locker room. I don't know. But it's too much. He's going to get hurt. He's carrying all that weight. He still had those bursts of speed, but is not consistent. You have him once, maybe twice a game. But other than that, he just lumbers on the court. You can't play up-tempo. So if you're the Knicks and you got Brunson, Barrett, Hart, DiVincenzo, Mitch. When Mitch returns, talk about the Mitch later on too. Mm-hmm. You might want to go fast. Like you could kind of go a little up tempo with that lineup without Randall there slowing it down. Zion's just lugging his weight. He gonna slow it all down. Like I don't know how this works for him at this point. Like I don't know what the end game is.
At some point you got to blame the organization too for not getting a handle of this.
Well, that's the problem. So I think the organization just let him kind of do what he wanted to do and say, "It's okay, Zion. You're good. You're good." And now you're, like I said, you're stuck with Zion Williamson for the foreseeable future because it's just so much money left on his deal.
Yep.
That you can't really touch him. You can't move him. And if you're an NBA team, you don't touch him. Milwaukee also lost in the semifinals. I don't think this Adrian Griffin thing is working at all.
I don't think so.
I think they made the wrong decision. I think they should have went harder for Nick Nurse. I think they settled on Adrian Griffin. How does this end? Because Giannis just signed an extension. So where does this team go now with kind of this? Giannis isn't really responding to Adrian Griffin, and Dame is kind of like trying to work with Giannis. And Giannis ain't used to pick and rolls, and Bobby Portis ain't happy, and it's just a shit show right now.
It's one. I think they're just them in Phoenix are just got to go through the motions right now. It's still early in the season where they got plenty of time to turn it around, but I think this coaching thing might be a one and done thing. It depends how it plays out down the line. If they get knocked out in the first or second round, it might be one of the things where they might have to retread and look for another coach. But I still got time to turn around, see what happens. They really can't do nothing trade wise because they don't really got no flexibility. So they pretty much got to ride the ship as currently constructed.
Did you ever think that we would say that maybe they shouldn't have fired Budenholzer? Woods?
I wouldn't say that. I say they hired the wrong coach. I'll say that.
Is Nick Nurse the guy you think they should have?
That's what they should have went after. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Philly. I feel like Philly's figured it out everything now because once they got rid of
Harden,
the cancer Harden, they're like, okay, well now let's play ball. Which we'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the Knicks. It came down that Mitchell Robinson, he's going to miss 8 to 10 weeks. He has getting ankle surgery. We almost had a scare with Brunson playing in garbage time because, Tibbs can't sit guys down, even if you're up or down by 20. Not having Mitchell Robinson for, 2.5 months.
That's really tough.
What does that do for the Knicks? And does this open up maybe a lane for Jericho Sims to finally show, like, hey, I've been waiting for the shot and for him to prove it now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's their only option they got right now. They got to play Jericho Sims and see what happens from there. I think he would respond a little bit better, but they're definitely going to miss Mitch's presence in the paint, considering they're very thin at that outside of Mitch anyway.
Yeah, they had. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein's a good backup center, but he's not Mitchell Robinson defensively. Right. Sims is going to give you defense. Sims is going to get you rebounds. Sims is not going to score, kind of like Mitchell Robinson. But I don't foresee Jericho Sims playing 30, 35 minutes a game either. So I think it's one of those things where you might see Julius Randle playing a 5 in a lot of different situations and him going small and seeing what happens.
I can definitely see that. I can definitely see Nick going small and throwing Julius at the center for like 15.
I'm not sold on that completely, though.
I mean, I'm not either, but it is what it is.
I mean, I'm looking at the roster real quick. You could go in your crunch time lineup. You can go Brunson, Hart, Quickly, Barrett, Randall. I feel like that's really too small.
That's a very small lineup.
Yeah, because Hart, you could play. Yeah, you could play Hart at the 3, but that's as much you can go.
Yeah, and even that's a little stretch at times. It goes like you said earlier. Here's where you could have used Cam.
Yeah, Cam could have guarded a 4.
Exactly.
Because Cam is long enough to guard a 4, so I think you could have figured it out. But once again, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of Hartenstein, a lot on Sims. I'm gonna put it out there. I think you might see maybe a more aggressive RJ now, because I think now the floor opens up a bit more. Yeah. So I think the onus is going to be on RJ to kind of prove himself as well. I got to talk about the Detroit Pistons.
Tough times over there.
So they hired Monty Williams. I had high hopes with Detroit after they got Monty. I knew it was going to be a tough lift, right? Extremely young team. A lot of talent. 16 centers on the roster, apparently.
They've lost trade for 2.
They've lost 19 in a row. Here's my question. Are the Detroit Pistons this goddamn bad?
I mean, the record doesn't lie. The record doesn't lie. They haven't won since October, I believe. They winless in November. So I want to say they're. Here's the thing. I don't want to say the roster is currently constructed is awful, because it is. That's a given. Mm-hmm. I think they have so much young talent, whereas a lot of these guys, they're like one and done in college, so they didn't really develop the fundamental skills. So now Monty's not only becoming a coach, he's becoming like a teacher. So that's what's taking that. It's going to be a longer growing birth for them. I thought Detroit would have been like Houston, but the difference between Houston and Detroit, it's not just the coaching. The coaching, I still respect Monty as a great coach. I think Houston has at least a couple of adults in that locker room, whereas Detroit has none. And I think so now it's become all on Monty to be the teacher and the coach, and that's a tough sledding for anybody. They need to trade for a veteran role player just to sit on the bench. Like Adonis has them. If they had someone like that in their locker room, that would straighten out a lot of these problems they have over there. But it's this growing pains they're going to go through in Detroit. They're going to get another high draft pick, and we'll see what happens from there.
So I'm looking at the roster right now. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players with 1 year or less NBA service time.
There you go.
So obviously, Duran's gonna be good. Kay Cunningham is coming from injury, so you don't know about that. I think Killian Hayes is done. I think we can kind of throw in the towel on Killian Hayes. Jarrett Roden, shout out Seton Hall. He was never going to be a good NBA player. He was never going to be this guy. He's a rotation player at best.
Right.
Usars Thompson, we don't know what he is yet. He's a rookie. Isaiah Livers, don't know what he's about. Weissman, I think we're close to throwing the towel in on James Weissman at this point in time. He's a throw in for a trade. They do have Alec Burks. They have Alec Burke and Bogdanovich. So you have 2 men in the room.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich, no one's really gonna listen to him.
And Joe Harris. Joe Harris as well.
Damn. Harris is over there. Someone needs to go pick him up. Get his sharp. Get his
that's either a trade or a buyout. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Oh yeah.
That's a trade or buyout guy.
He's definitely renting in Detroit.
Wait. I just saw a name. Okay. I will give you a hint of this player who's on this roster.
Okay.
I had his jersey a couple years ago.
Is it a former Knick?
It is a former Knick. He was traded for the guy we just talked about before on the Lakers, Cam Reddish.
Oh, damn, what's his name? Not Knox.
Yes, Kevin Knox.
He's still. First of all, I didn't even know he was still in the league. God bless him.
I mean, he's kind of still in the league. He's in Detroit.
Good point.
So it's questionable if he's still in the league or not. We still don't know. Yeah, he's on here. Marcus Sasser, rookie from Houston. He's on the team. Isaiah Stewart, another center. He's on the team. Jaden Ivey, who I think should be the starter team. He's here. You have all this young talent. I feel like the way the roster was constructed, going back to last year, sucked. You had high draft picks, so you knew you were going to suck because you got a bunch of these rookies and first-year players trying to make their mark. And they're not all ready to kind of share the wealth. Look at Houston, right? Until Ime got there, you had a bunch of guys who were just trying to do their own shit.
Right.
And Ime's like, no, you all need to play together as a team or you ain't going to play. I think Monty's got to get that. I think Monty's still trying to figure out what the hell he has and what works, what doesn't work, who doesn't work. So I think by March, you're going to see him have this team obviously not competing for a playoff spot, but playing hard and actually winning some games, not losing 19 games in a row.
That's just absurd.
They give up 118 points per game.
I gotta watch them play the Pacers.
Oh, well, right now, it was a 2-point game. Now it's a 9-point game. Never mind. Detroit was down by 2. They're now down by 9. Bruce made a good point about Houston. The roster did change to Houston too. So Houston went out and got rid of some of those young guys and moved some guys and brought in like a Van Vliet and other guys, some vets. So that's very true too. That's what needs to happen here. No offense to Alec Burks. No offense to Joe Harris. No offense to Bogdanovich. Those are not guys that you are going to build a team around and lead a young roster to the playoffs. That's not what it is. Right now, there's a lot of games tonight. I didn't realize there's this many games in NBA tonight.
Yeah, because it was on Saturday and nothing yesterday.
So Philly up by 30 on the Wizards. That's in the third quarter. Cleveland up by 1 in the third quarter over Orlando. Has just mentioned Indiana's beating Pistons, who's going for their 20th straight loss. Congratulations, Detroit. Miami up by 10 over Charlotte. The Knicks up by 7 over the Raptors at the Garden. 65-62 Denver over Atlanta. And after the first quarter, you have OKC up by 14 over Utah. I got to scroll over because there's so many damn games. 150 left in the first quarter. I think I scrolled over too fast. Tie game between Minnesota and New Orleans. Minnesota probably the best team in the NBA right now. Who thought that would ever happen? Chicago, Milwaukee. Milwaukee up by 5 at the end of the first quarter. And you have the Spurs up by 3 over Houston. Brooklyn's in Sacramento tonight. Portland and LA against the Clippers also at 10:30. There's a lot going on tonight. The other thing I want to talk about, and this, this has nothing to do with basketball. That's kind of something to do with basketball. In baseball, you saw Shohei Ohtani get a $700 million contract for over 10 years.
Woo.
$70 million. However, it came out today that he's only going to make $20 million over the 10 years.
He's doing the other,
and the other $680 million is deferred to God knows when to get that money. We see big money in the NBA now, right? We see Dame Lillard's last year of his contract, $65 million for that last year, that option year. How high can salaries get in the future? Because I feel like there's got to be. I think college football kind of had its reckoning when Jimbo Fisher got fired from Texas A&M, and they had to pay him like $70 million to get the hell out. And I think they're like, we have to figure out the pay scale. We got to kind of refigure this out.
Well, since we talk a little baseball, I'm gonna talk a little football real quick. Black Friday was such a success for Amazon and the way, and then I didn't even think about it that not only could you watch the game, but you could shop at the same time. And I think that's where we're heading in the future in terms of like the streaming wars. Like if Amazon really want to be a big player in sports, kind of like how Apple TV is with MLS, I think that next contract is going to be enormous, and ESPN and Turner is going to have to bid so hard just to keep the games they have without losing anything to Amazon. Unlike and Fox or NBC, they're not really losing anything with Amazon having Thursday Night Football. So I think the next contract, the next negotiation, plus it's only a matter of time before they do expansion in the NBA. So I think you're definitely going to see salaries go up in the next collective bargaining and the next media rights deal. So you might see someone making like we might get that $90 million 1-year deal. It's going to be crazy, the numbers that's going out there.
Well, we're talking about the in-season tournament and how that might be a part of the rights deal coming up.
Absolutely, yep.
And I foresee Amazon getting it because Amazon had the Commissioner's Cup of WNBA and that. They drew a pretty good audience on Amazon for those games. I kind of foresee the in-season tournament being one of those things where those games on those nights are going to be Amazon exclusive and not ESPN, TNT, TBS, whatever exclusive. It's
I
Amazon
also
exclusive.
think that's why a lot of these guys didn't take jobs yet, like the Van Gundys, the Mark Jackson. I feel like a lot of these guys are waiting. They're patiently waiting it out. But then when that streaming service comes in, that's where they're gonna end up. So
you could foresee a 1-year, $70-80 million contract eventually.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Who's worthy of it once LeBron retire? I don't know, but it's coming.
Yeah, I don't. I just feel like for 1 year, I feel like no team. I feel like the NBA won't ever allow that. I feel like that's a step too far for them. I feel like they want the players to get paid, get what they're worth, all that stuff. But I feel like that's a lot of their money to give to one guy.
Even if they're gonna get now, remember they get paid. The owners get paid for expansion fees, and they're gonna get back in on the media rights. So they're gonna get a bump regardless. I think they'll sacrifice that $90 million to make a few billion to elevate each franchise worth by at least $1 billion. I think they'll do it.
That's crazy. Well, Bruce Otani's getting $70 million, but only getting about $34 million. That's fine. I'm okay with that as well.
Shout out to Otani. Imagine getting all that money and you don't even have to move. You're still in the same city.
Yeah. Well, you got to move up the street, maybe.
Maybe that's if you want.
But I think they also said that he wanted a place that could let him do his own thing still. The Angels were very understanding about his routine and how he wants things done. And
Yeah.
I think the Dodgers like, we don't give a shit what
We
you
don't
do.
give a shit. Here's our money. Take it and do what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to help us out because you're going to bring in money for. You're going to bring in a ton of money for us.
I always thought he was going to Dodgers. I thought it was either Dodgers or San Francisco, but I knew he wasn't coming anywhere else.
No, not at all. Speaking of big money, Golden State. Are they done? Let's just put the question out there. Is it over?
I think so. I think they won't say it, but I think this is a playing team. I think, Clay's best days behind them. Draymond is an enforcer. It could still work, but the pieces around Steph is not championship level pieces. So I think it is a kind of like, end of the dynasty for them.
So if you look at their contracts, Clay isn't expiring at 43. I really do not think they're going to bring back Klay Thompson next year. As much as they really don't want to say, okay, you're done.
They're going to
lowball him. I think he might take it, honestly, because he probably knows that the landscape for a aging shooting guard who can't shoot, not exactly great. They have Steph for 3 more years, and Steph is killing himself. I think Steph's the only real consistent player right now on this team. That's the only player on the Golden State Warriors who, night in, night out, you know what you're going to get. Clay looks gun shy. I think Chris Paul coming off the bench has been a really big surprise. I thought he might be done, but he's not. I don't know what the hell happened to Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins just looks like a shell of himself. Wiggins looks like Minnesota Wiggins at the end. Like NBA Finals Wiggins, that guy's gone. It is gone. Draymond's Draymond. I think the Draymond signing was a respect signing more so than anything else. That's really it. I'm still waiting for Jonathan Kuminga. I was big on Kuminga. Still waiting. I think Moses Moody could be something, but he's not getting the playing time he should get because you're gonna have Clay and Steph and crunch time, blah blah blah. I just think I think we're like you said. I think we're looking at a play-in team. I think we're looking at a 7 seed until they somehow get younger, or Wiggins find the magic, or Draymond hits a 3 every so often, and Clay gets that touchback. It's just out of whack completely.
Listen, we get on the Knicks for missing out on Halliburton. They were the only team that missed out on him. The Warriors could have had him too, and they went another direction, and that flopped and fizzled out as just as bad as the Knicks.
I don't want to laugh at them, but it's like, were we wrong with Halliburton that night? I'm trying to figure out, what did we miss? What did everybody else miss? I really wanted the Knicks to get Tyrese Halliburton. And everybody just yeah, no, we're good. No, we're good. No, we're good. I'm like, what did they see that just made them yeah, we don't need Tyrese Halliburton?
And what's funny is it's coming from the organization that drafted Steph when they didn't need a shooting guard. They had Ellis in their back pocket, but they still drafted Steph. So it was one of those things where a lot of teams above the Knicks fizzled out, and even Sacramento. Sometimes you wonder if they traded the right point guard. What if Halliburton and Sabonis was teammates right now? It's a very later on when they do a revisionist history about that draft, he's definitely the player. How did all these teams mess that up?
Okay, I have a bone to pick right now because Bruce is putting a lot of hate on YouTube right now, and I'm not a fan of the hate. He's putting on Elon Musk type hate on Tyrese Halliburton right now. Halliburton's overrated. He's having a good Jeremy Lin month.
Not a Jeremy Lin. Nah, it was definitely. He's not overrated. It's just LeBron. It goes back to when LeBron takes things seriously. He told his goons, hey, double Halliburton the entire game.
He's talking about his shooting motion, which, yes, he has a weird shooting motion. It's a thing. You watch Halliburton shoot, it's
it's yeah.
It's like
not the prettiest form.
No, it's like Sam Perkins shooting in 1994. But he said a month. And Bruce, I'm talking directly to you. You said a Jeremy Lin month. This is his season right now.
Mm-hmm.
27, 12, and 4. That's not a month. That's a third of a season. Right?
Coming off an All-Star season last year.
His career right now, 17, 8, and 3. His shooting percentage has at this moment 52.5, 44% from 3, 88% from free throw line. So we're talking he could legitimately have a 50, 45, 90
easy
at the end of the season. I don't see the overratedness in Tyrese Halliburton.
Not at all.
Like I think we need to see more.
I think he's the best point guard in the league right now.
Yeah, I think we could see more. I totally agree. I think we need to see inflation. Oh my god.
This is because the Pacers are not on national television enough.
See, this is why we need to have some flex games in the NBA on TNT, ESPN.
Well, yeah, they need to start doing that.
I mean, they should be flexing out the Giants tonight. I'm not worried about the Giants playing right now on nationally on ABC because Jesus, if I won't.
Not a fan of Vito.
I like the time of DeVito. But I don't care anymore. Like, we're 4-8. Who gives a shit? The next, he just called. Wow. Bruce just called Tyrese Halliburton the next Michael Carter Williams.
Oh wow, that's harsh. First of all, was Michael Carter Williams ever an All-Star?
Was Michael Carter Williams ever good? Forget All-Star. No. Completely false equivalency across the board. False equivalency. You know what I'm gonna do from now on? Because I know we've been talking about like we gotta have more content on this YouTube channel. I'm gonna give Bruce his own show. I want to give Bruce 45 minutes a week so he can spread his hate on the New York Liberty, Tyrese Halliburton, LeBron James. I will just give him free reign. Like, you do you. I will give you 45 minutes on YouTube every week, and you rapid fire. I'll put a timer up. You can do like a partner interruption topics. Have the timer go, and you go 45 seconds at each hateful topic you want. Bruce, if you want that, I will give it to you. I swear to God, because this is not enough. I need more hate. This is fueling me. Last night, moving on. Last night had the WNBA draft lottery. The Indiana Fever gets the number 1 pick again. And listen, they're in the driver's seat to get Caitlin Clark, so you could have a possible 1-2 punch of Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston in Indiana.
If there ever was a city where she was going to be treated like a god, it's Indiana. I think she's a perfect fit for them.
Listen, just see. I watched the lottery and seeing Aaliyah Boston with that card, like, yes, we're gonna win now because Caitlin Clark and I'm not sure they're gonna get to the title game this year again because I watched them play a couple times and I really don't see the same team that I saw last year. Besides Caitlin Clark,
they're way too dependent on her.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I feel like you would think that they would help and probably say, okay, we can't be as dependent on Caitlin Clark. And I feel like they're even more dependent on her this year than they were last year.
Yep.
And they need her to score 30 a game to compete every night, and that's the problem. But I think Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark in Indiana, in a market that they've won a title before, and it's a basketball market. It's a market that loves basketball, and I feel like they really need that. The rest, I'm curious about Paige Beckers from UConn. She's been hurt a lot in UConn. She's projected to go 3 to Phoenix. They're saying she's gonna opt out, declare for the draft, and go to Phoenix. With all the injuries she's had, would you trust the Paige Beckers in the WNBA, or would you say you need to stay in college one more year, have a healthy senior year, and prove to everybody that you're healthy and that you're ready to go? Because I feel like right now, even when we watch UConn play now, she still doesn't seem up to speed completely. And UConn, they're out of the top 15 for the first time in like a decade.
Yeah.
So it just seems like she's still kind of out of it. Would you tell her to stay in college one more year and say, all right, risk it and go to WNBA right away?
Well, because the WNBA pay structure the way it is, I'm staying in college one more year. Cash some NIL.
Get the NIL money.
Yep, and like enjoy that senior year, and then reevaluate your stock level next year, which you'll still be a top 3, if not a top 1. So I would come back for the senior year, especially in that environment at UConn.
So the wild card, I think, and obviously she's not projected to be a lottery pick, but Angel Reese is projected to go 8 to Atlanta. And I don't know what's going on at LSU with their.
I think she's going to slip. I don't think she's going to go to 8.
She
might slip right into New York
at 11. At 11. So with her, I think the question is now, she missed those 4 games with LSU. No one knows what happened. No one knows what the deal is. I'm pretty sure the coach didn't like her getting the attention and sat her. And
I'm pretty sure that was about. Yep.
Yeah, I think the coach is jealous, and because no one likes the coach. Everyone loves Angel Reese. No one likes the coach. Does something like that affect you? Do you think is that her drop because of what happened, or you think maybe just because it's maybe a better draft than we think it is?
Oh, look, it could be a combination of both. It could be like, out of sight, out of mind. We're not really seeing on the court. They're not, doing as well, and this is a deep draft class.
I'm just saying, LSU's coach, whose name I am Kim Mulkey, she looks like she wears a red baseball cap. If you know what I mean. Just saying, she looks like she's all about the America. That's what I feel like right now. That's all I'm going to say before we get canceled. And then college basketball, I think I'm starting to pay more attention to it now. Bronny James made his debut, even though I still don't think he should be playing right now. I still don't think he should be on the court. I think something's still off. That's beside me.
I was kind of surprised that he's playing this season. I thought they would let him rest until, if anything, maybe February, March, slowly bring him up to speed. But so early in the season, I was surprised that he's playing so early.
Yeah, just redshirt him. What's another year? Yeah. What's another year? I'm saying. I got to talk about this because this is something we talk about every single week. NCAA President Charlie Baker says he's ready to address the elephant in the room in college sports. Baker is pushing schools to take steps that will lead to a radical change in how they compensate and compete for athletes. He announced proposed rule changes that would allow schools to funnel more money to their players and create a new subdivision in which the wealthiest tier of college athletic departments can make rules that better fit their financial reality. So essentially, he's saying if you're a school that has a ton of money, you're in your own area. And you're competing with each other for players and paying players, whatever. And everybody else with scraps are going to be on this side competing for whatever's left over. When I first read this, I thought, oh, cool. Okay, NCAA might be getting the message. But now it seems like we're getting closer to that eventual Power 5 saying, yeah, we're going to do our own shit over here, and the rest of you NCAA can do your thing over here. But we're the Power 5, so we're going to do our own shit here and put our own tournament on, whatever. Do you think it's at that point where we're starting to inch towards that scenario where the Power 5s are going to be like, we don't need NCAA anymore, we're powerful by ourselves?
Yeah, I think we're getting to that point. There's too much money. There's too much power. I think it's definitely getting to that point.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've heard the NCAA mention anything about the NIL situation. So, and this is the solution. The solution was, let's create a have and have not situation, which just seems like the most unfair shit you could think of. But they're gonna do it anyway. But so. That was just interesting to me. So far in college basketball, is there anything that surprised you, or are you still like half in, half out until conference play?
Still half in, half out. I'm gonna get it all in once. I'll say January.
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 I'm trying. You know what it is? I'm trying to watch as much as I could, but I came upon a Saturday when I was actually off. And there was a game on CBS. There was a game on the CW, who I forgot got ACC basketball now, in addition to Live Golf. I think there was a game on USA. There was a bunch of games on ESPN, and ESPN2, and the ACC, and the SE. And then Yes had a game, and SNY in New York had a game, had my alma mater Monmouth on, and then MSG. I'm getting to the point where it's too much, and I don't know who to watch. Because I want to keep it local, but I also need to watch national. And I'm getting overload. I'm getting what's the phrase when babies get really freaked out? Sensory overload. It's too much.
I'm gonna check out Rutgers on Saturday. I'm going to that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna see that's gonna be my first time looking at them this season locally. You know what's funny? St. John's. I haven't heard anything. I haven't watched a minute of St. John basketball at all this year, considering who the coach is, which is kind of fascinating.
Bruce just mentioned St. John's has no money, so it's doomed.
Good point.
I mean, I think they played. They had the NABC showcase at Barclays yesterday. So they had 4 games at Barclays yesterday. I think they played the 3rd game out of 4. I think I watched for a few minutes and turned it off. I didn't pay attention.
That sounds like blasphemy that St. John's is playing at Barclays and not the Garden. But
I mean, I think they have their one. They play 1 or 2 games at the Garden every year, right? I think it's 2, right? Mm-hmm. But the showcase is weird because it's Fordham versus North Texas. Miami played. Who did Miami play? I can't remember who Miami played. St. John's played in the last game was Albany versus Temple. I'm like, this is the most random teams I've ever seen playing in Barclays Center. You couldn't get Syracuse? You can
next year. Wait till next year when that Big Ten. We're gonna have Bronny playing at Barclays against Penn State or Rutgers. Hey,
Rutgers. Yeah, actually Rutgers. Yep. So the last few minutes, I'm not gonna lie to you. Wrestling, I'm out of the loop completely. I've been missing Dynamite. I watched the pay-per-views.
Okay.
But I've been missing Dynamite. Collision just became a show because Punk left. I feel bad about Punk leaving.
I couldn't believe Punk went back to the dark side.
Well, over under 18 months before we have a Punk flip out and he goes, fuck it, I'm going home.
No, I think I'm going to go over because I think this is the right situation where they can contain him. And it's not just WWE he has to worry about. He has to worry about Endeavor.
Yeah, the machine.
Yeah, the machine. It's a machine now.
I already know what Bruce is going to say. So
he is going to main event night 1 of WrestleMania. So
yeah. He's going to get his main event. He's going to get his main event.
He cracked about the buy one get one. He's main event 1.
I'm going to ask the question. I already know what Bruce is going to say. I'm going to ask it anyway. Does it seem like AEW, and he just said something about AEW before I even got it out. Damn. Does it seem like AEW is kind of I don't want to say plateaued, but it seemed like they've kind of they're kind of stuck in neutral a little bit and trying to figure out, okay, where do we go now?
I would say that, and someone said it, I forgot where I heard it from, but it makes a lot of sense. Tony came in as a friend instead of a boss, and that kind of doomed everything. The way that CM Punk, he got fired, and they didn't have a non-compete clause in that contract was crazy. You just cannot let him walk to your competitor, and now he's going to boost. And right before WrestleMania season, that was a bad move by Tony. They need to get somebody to really, run the disciplinary act behind the scenes, bring a little structure. But in terms of talent, they got the talent. I think Swerve is a future champ in the making.
Definitely.
And I think they're fine. Wrestling-wise, they're fine. It's behind the scenes they got to work on.
Yeah, and a report came out that Bryan Danielson's handing out fines to people. He's the guy. He's the Undertaker of the locker room. He's no, you want social media, you talk shit, I'm fining you $1,000.
It's Edge just got there. He could be that figure too, but he just got there, so no one's really gonna take him seriously.
Yeah, I think what it is, you have Edge or Adam Copeland, you have Christian, you got Danielson, you got the older guys who I think are
Jericho,
okay, Jericho, Moxley. We gotta fix this. I think they knew Punk had to come in. They needed Punk to kind of push him to a different level.
Right.
So they kind of said, we need Punk. But I think Punk has gone and they're listen, we're going to run this like a real company. I think Danielson's and Tony Khan's are a lot more now. So I think that's going to help because I think the whole issue, I think Tony Khan just can't book long term. Tony's great. He's a big wrestling fan, but he just can't book. And him by himself, I feel like he needs help. He needs to bounce things off of people. I think Danielson might be that guy to say, nah, don't do that. And he's kind of seeing it a little bit now. You're seeing some more stories. Even their G1 tournament they're having, even with the tournament, there's stories kind of interweaved in between every single match somehow.
Yeah.
Which was never a thing a couple years ago. So I think you're seeing some things change, but it's going to take a minute. I think they have to rebuild the brand, which WWE had to do it in 95 when Diesel was champion and nobody gave a shit. Right? They had to do it in 2010, 2012 when no one gave a shit. Like, I feel like every brand has those down moments. I think this is AEW's.
Agreed.
And WB still sucks. I'm sorry. There's nothing compelling. I watch Raw, waiting for the first Punk promo, and I'm like, this is garbage. What am I watching?
But his promo on SmackDown was pretty good. It was
good, but I think the problem is everyone's waiting for one moment every show. Give us something for the whole 2 hours.
He's in a holding pattern until Rumble, and then they'll figure everything out.
I think the whole show's in a holding pattern until something happens.
Yeah, I think both shows are.
Yeah, I think until there's a promo.
We know what the matches are from WrestleMania already, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but I also feel like every show you're waiting for a promo segment, or every show you're waiting for a contract signing. You're waiting for one thing per show, but you still have to fill 3 hours or 2 hours. That's the problem. I'm like, wait till CM Punk at 10:50. I have to get from 8 to 10:50. Watching Tozawa on a random ass match, or Nia Jax like bust somebody up. I can't fathom that. It's too long. WWE still trash, but new trash, according to Bruce.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with that one.
We'll take the new trash.
Jason's always a great show.
Likewise.
So we're going to be on YouTube. I know Jason and I had a conversation on text. I talked to our other partner about YouTube and if it works, if it doesn't work. And the idea in 2024 is to have more content on the YouTube channel. So I know Tri-State Heat, still going to happen. Trying to get scheduled.
Gotta bring it back. You gotta bring it back.
Get
Bruce on it too.
Yeah. Bruce got to definitely come on here and hate on AEW. We also have Live Free Laugh Hard, Moody Irish Guy. We're gonna have more stuff. We're gonna keep the YouTube channel open for now. We're also gonna have the audio feed on Spotify. Not tonight because the first 90 seconds of tonight's show was silent because I've got to turn my mic on. It's been a long time, so that was my fault. So we'll be back, Bruce. We'll be back next Monday. Did I say Monday? What day did I say? Sunday. We're back Sunday. This coming Sunday. We'll be back, Bruce. This Sunday. And it may or may not be our last show of the year. We're going to kind of play by ear because I know, Jay, you got family. You want to relax and chill out for Christmas. Apparently, I'm working all Christmas week long for MLB, so I got things to do. So Sunday will be our show. That may or may not be the last show of the year for us. There's other content coming on the channel, so if you're subscribed, check it out. We'll be here. But we'll be back Sunday night, 8 p.m. here on the One Podcast Network. For Jason Corden, I'm Kahlil Thomas. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Peace.